Welcome back to the Fox Robbins Business Show. You're going to be seeing a lot of suds tonight because we've got the brewmaster and president of Cape Cod Beer, Todd Marcus, and you're going to love it meeting this guy and hearing his story. You're going to want to hear what he has to say. This show is all about developing your best business ideas, and I am the co-host of the show, Bill Fox, and the other co-host is none other than Coach Robbins.
Bill, how are you?
I must say now, we got to note that the coach is in a good mood.
Aloha.
Because aloha. He just came back from Hawaii and had a wonderful trip. And,
wait a minute. I was there working.
Well, yeah, okay, all right.
I was there for 12 days, but I did do a 90-minute seminar.
Presentation.
I did a presentation to a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
So I had to work.
Those are the
it
guys
wasn't all fun.
Landscapers.
Yeah, landscapers, tree care surgeons, the Tree Care Industry Association, a wonderful organization. They sent me they asked me if I'd like to speak to their group, and I said, sure. And they said, would you like to talk to us in Hartford or Hawaii, which was an easy choice, so they sent me to Hawaii.
Hartford, Hawaii, yeah.
I'll take Hawaii.
So the coach is in a good mood. But we want to get on with the show because we have a lot to talk about with Todd Marcus. In the meantime, we want to have the regular feature of every Fox Robbins show, which is Cliff's Notes. And Cliff, what do you got for us tonight?
Well, Bill, tonight I'd like to talk about entrepreneurship. Everybody hears it, but not enough people are doing something about it, as the old expression goes. As I've said before, I've dealt with just about 2,000 people who either wanted to start a business, did start a business, or did buy a business, or are in business and want to grow that business, or in today's economy are in business and want to stay in business. And tonight's guest is exciting for me because I've known him since he started his business, and entrepreneurship is something that I've talked about, that a lot of people talk about, that is going to be really the engine that turns this economy around. It's going to be the small business people. It's the small business person that really goes out and builds a company and hires people and starts to make the economy gel again. But what is entrepreneurship? In general, entrepreneurship is the fact that you have an idea, you have a dream, you have a vision. This is something you want to do. You want to work for yourself. And boy, as you've heard me talk many, many times, you're going to work. You're going to work for yourself, and you're going to work hard. You'll be your hardest taskmaster because your business, your lifeblood is going to be poured into this thing, and you want to make a success of it and make your dreams come true in the best way. It takes guts, it takes discipline, it takes money, and it takes dedication to what you're doing, which is why we're always talking about doing something you love, and that way it'll make it easier to work as hard as you're going to have to work to make a success of your small business. But believe me, there's nothing more exciting to doing it. I've done it. Tonight's guest has done it in spades, and I'm looking forward to talking to him tonight about the entrepreneurial journey that he has been on.
That's great. And speaking of which, this is Todd Marcus, who is the founder, brewmaster, and president of Cape Cod Beer, co-owner along with his wife Beth, and he has two boys, Jacob 11 and Harrison 9. They're not drinking beer yet.
Well, maybe a little bit.
In a while.
A little sip at dinner.
Yeah, they can watch.
Yeah.
All right, and Todd comes from Northeastern University and had a degree in electrical engineering. So he's a technical guy, but he must have an intuition and an ability to dream on the side.
Everybody has, but he actually did it. He followed his dreams.
Yeah. He worked for many years in high-tech industry in Massachusetts as an engineer, designer, and manager. And so he's got some management experience and background, which is nice.
That's why he's been successful. It's not that he just knows how to brew beer. He knows how to grow and manage a company.
Yeah. And but he's been a professional brewer for the last 15 years.
Right.
He had moved to the Cape in 1998, and he started Cape Cod Beer in 2004.
Right.
So we'll get right to Todd, but just 1 second. Don't run for the fridge, and do not grab the channel clicker. Wait for us 1 second. We'll be right back with Todd Marcus. Thank you. Welcome back to the Fox Robbins Show. Thank you for holding your seat and not jumping up and running for the fridge. We're back with Coach Robbins and our guest, Todd Marcus, founder, brewmaster, and president of Cape Cod Beer. Welcome to the show, Todd.
Thank you very much. Nice
Todd,
to be
how
here.
are you?
Pretty good, Cliff.
Good to
How are
see you again. Doing
nice
well.
to see you guys.
Doing well. Todd, I've been looking forward to having you on the show for some time. We've known each other for some years, 6 years now, since the day you started your business. And
It's gone quick.
I know that. Time flies when you're having fun. Tell us a little bit about the company, Cape Cod Beer, how long you've been in business, where you're located, that sort of thing.
Well, Cape Cod Beer is located at 1336 Finney's Lane in Hyannis. We've been in that location now for coming up on about 4 years. Originally, I started in the brewery that was located next to the restaurant on the west end of Main Street.
Right.
It had been many restaurants next to me over the years, and we operated the brewery there. And then at a certain point, I started up Cape Cod Beer out of that location.
Right.
And then moved it across town, and it started in a 3,000 square foot location. Now we've got about 6,200 square feet of operating space.
Right. And where is it? It's right off Route 132 in Hyannis, right?
Yes.
Yep.
On Finney's Lane.
Okay, how long have you been in business now?
Now 6 years.
6 years, congratulations. You got over the 5-year hump, which of course, as we've talked about before, 80% of the businesses that start are going to fail in 5 years. You're a success story.
Well, we're still trying real hard anyway.
Oh, you got to try real hard forever. Tell us about the size of the company. We hear about Sam Adams being a big microbrewer, and of course the giants, the Coors, the Miller. Tell us about Cape Cod Beer's production.
Well, when we started, we were producing about 500 barrels a year. Now, when we produce beer, we produce it by the barrel is how we measure it in our industry.
Right.
And if you get a keg, you'll know what a half barrel keg is, like the one you get. So every 2 of those is 1 barrel.
Is 1 barrel.
When we first started, we started on a 7-barrel system. So we were brewing 7 barrels every time we brewed. It's about an 8-hour first day process.
Right.
And then it takes about another 2 to 4 weeks for the process to complete.
Right.
So you start off that first day, and then 2 to 4 weeks
So it's
later.
a couple of months.
It's a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks.
Couple weeks.
The whole process, right?
Before you, from the beginning till you can, basically
Actually
take
drink it
yourself
or sell it. Okay. Right.
And we started off with about 500 barrels our first year, and last year we produced about 3,200 barrels.
Ooh, that's good growth.
And in the first year, I had my first 12 accounts in the Hyannis area. I was delivering to mostly accounts. I was trying to build my own backyard, so we were building accounts, and I had 12 accounts basically in the Hyannis area.
And you distributed them directly. You went out, you called on them, you did all of the things.
We did it all.
That's
well,
right.
At the beginning, it was I did it all.
Yeah.
It was, we would sell it, we would produce it, and we would deliver it. To this day, we actually are still a self-distributing microbrewery.
Right.
And so we still do all those things. We just have more people doing it. And over the years, we've grown. We now have 9 full-time employees. By the time we get into the summertime, I have plans to bring on 3 more people.
Fabulous.
2 of those are actually summertime help.
Right. Where you get a spike in your business, obviously, is Cape Cod.
There's nothing we can do about that.
It
It would be nice if we could design our businesses, to
Yeah,
be nice
very
and
nice,
even all year
yeah,
long.
right.
You budget for the end of the year and you just divide by 12, but it doesn't work.
Wonderful.
It doesn't work
that way on Cape Cod, right?
No,
There's 3
certainly
months
not.
so you make hay while you sunshine. Tell us about your mantra of from P-Town to Plymouth. I love that.
Well, because we do self-distribute our beer,
Right.
we wanted to, like I said, we wanted to build our own backyard.
Right.
And one of the things that you have to be able to do is you have to be able to not only deliver your beer, but you need to be able to provide a very good level of customer service.
Absolutely. That's what makes you different.
It is. It's one of our key differentiators. When you are in business and you're selling a product in a highly competitive industry, and I wouldn't say that our competition is strictly just other craft or microbrewed beers that are out there. It's everybody. Anybody who makes beer, anybody that puts
That's
it
a
out
direct competitor. Even Budweiser, or of course, is a direct wine and things might be an indirect competitor. But beer's beer, right? Although it's much different.
So we like to make sure that if there are those people perhaps that just think that beer is just beer and they could put this beer on tap or this beer on tap, that there have to be other things, whether it is price, and we are very competitive in terms of price with the other craft beers that are out there. There's only so much the market will bear, even though as a small company, our costs may be greater, and we can talk about that
Yeah, we'll
more
talk
later.
about that later, yeah.
We have to make sure that there are other things that we can do to differentiate ourselves, and certainly providing a high level of customer service in
Right.
addition to a quality and consistent product are
Right.
those things that we can do.
And a good tasting product.
Yeah, well, I like to think so.
Well, so does the market, because they're buying 3,200 barrels and you're continuing to grow, and
We
that's
are.
fabulous,
Yeah,
right?
we've grown significantly, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate everybody's support out there for
Yeah.
us over the years.
You were the Small Business of the Year in the Hyannis Chamber of Commerce in 2006.
We were. That was
a good,
a little bit of a surprise,
Little
and
local.
yeah, a little fame, so to speak, locally.
Yeah, but you got
which
more
is
than
great.
that. You've got the top 50. You're one of the top 50 American breweries by the Beer Advocate magazine.
Yet
in the
another
country?
surprise, yep, in the country,
nice.
with over 1,500 breweries in this country.
And you made the top 50?
We made the top 50 one year, so that was nice.
All right, and you won 2 gold medals for Cape Cod Red and Cape Cod Dunkelweizen? Dunkelweizen.
Yes, that's
right.
true.
At
Our
the
dark
Great
wheat
International
beer.
Beer Festival.
Yes, that was another great treat, was that we submitted our beers
Yeah.
for competition, and the Dunkelweizen, it was a pleasure to get a medal for that, certainly. It was a special beer that we had done. We do our Cape Cod Summer all summer long, and that involves using a special strain of yeast that produces these really great flavors and aromas to our summer beer. It's a traditional Bavarian strain of yeast. And at the very end of the summer, I said one year, why don't we, before we move on and get rid of this special strain of yeast, I said, why don't we use it to make one more thing? Why don't we make a dark version of a wheat beer and do something special? And it came out so delicious, we submitted it in that one. More importantly, submitting our Cape Cod Red as our flagship and putting that out there in more of a middle-of-the-road amber ale kind of market, and having us rise to the top and win a gold medal for that. That was really, we really appreciated that.
That's the coup de grace.
Yeah.
Excellent. So your facility has been expanding over there on Route 132 in the back there. Tell us about the facility, some of these beautiful. David, put up that picture of the brewery itself. I love it. It's so clean. I've been there, obviously, many, many times. The place is spotless.
Thank you. I would hope that I could keep up with all these pictures. It's actually, it doesn't even look like this anymore. It seems week after week there's always something new that's changing.
Right.
I always, most people think here on Cape Cod, it's okay, summer's over, we can take a little break, we can get our rest, and then we can hit the ground running in the spring. Well, every time we end up getting through Labor Day and Columbus Day, what ends up happening is we take our plan for expansion, and we go off and running for the whole winter time.
And you work.
And we work hard all winter.
Yeah, work on the business.
We're trying to get done a little early this year, so maybe this year we've got a little break before Memorial Day comes. But in every year, it seems, since we've at least moved to the new location, it's either been adding more capacity to the brewery, taking over adjacent space. We went from the 3,000 up to the 6,200, and adding a larger retail space, more offices, so that my wife doesn't have to continue to wear her fingerless gloves and work in a
frozen little
in a frozen little office.
Now we have upstairs,
Now we have a nice climate-controlled workspace for our employees.
Good.
But as you can see from the picture, it's a very capital-intensive business. There's lots of equipment, and we keep adding more and more. It's a lot of stainless. We do have to keep it clean. Cleanliness is certainly the key to our business. I would say that brewing is 80% cleaning and 20% brewing.
Well, do you yourself do the engineering? By the way, I mean the layout of the equipment. This is a very technical layout.
It is, and I do. I try to make the best use of our space. Obviously, here on Cape Cod, space comes at a premium.
Absolutely.
It's not just the location. I mean, the equipment has to be located, but then you've got to have plumbing,
electrical.
Electrical.
Well, the electrical's a piece of cake. Yeah. Piece of Romex, right?
A little bit. It's nice because brewing is such a multidisciplined career. You get to do physics and chemistry and engineering and microbiology and plumbing and electrical and construction. And so it makes it fun, and you get to do different things every day.
Yeah.
And marketing.
And sales.
Without that, there's no company, right?
That's true. Without sales, there's no company. You can make the best product in the world, but if you're not out there selling it, what difference
nothing
does it
happens
make?
until you create a customer. We've talked about this on the show 1,000 times. That's the single most important thing. Tell us about the trials and tribulations of distributing your own product, getting out there and actually visiting the all the clients. How many clients do you have now?
We have over 300 accounts now.
Right.
And it's all from
Between
Plymouth.
Provincetown and Plymouth.
All from Plymouth
which
to
is where
P-Town.
you're focusing your business. You don't want to go to...
No, I don't want to have this big, giant spider
You can't
web.
service them.
No,
You know,
we can't.
to the quality level that you want to do, right?
Absolutely not. We have grown our business concentrically from one guy and one truck, and
Yep.
it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And
Right.
now with more trucks on the road and more people, we still just keep growing it in this direction. But we're not going to go any farther. This is
Right.
as far as we want to go.
That's
we're
where
very
you want
happy.
to go. This is your choice. This is your niche, and this is where you're building your brand.
And we're very fortunate. It's kind of geographically limited. You can't go much further than that unless we want to, get
Go to England.
duck boats or something.
Good. Tell us a little bit about the brewery store. We were kidding. I was talking about Spaceballs, the flamethrower, merchandising. I mean, tell us about this.
Well, with just about every brewery or winery you go
It's a
into,
brand.
it is. It's a brand, and
that's
we're
part of
very
your brand.
fortunate to have got the Cape Cod Beer name because the Cape Cod Beer name is a great brand.
Right.
And
You're making it a great brand.
We are a great tourist attraction.
Yeah, the name
here.
Cape Cod is a brand all of its own. Right.
It certainly is.
Yep.
We certainly can't rely on that, though. It still
No.
has to be what's in the glass.
Right. But this is nice
but it's
additional
nice.
revenue for the company.
And we do offer tours of the brewery. Like you go to a brewery or a winery,
Right.
we offer tours Tuesday mornings at 11 and Saturdays at 1. You can come by the brewery and you can take a full guided tour.
Free tour?
Free tour.
Cool.
Yeah. Other than that, you can come into our retail area where you do see all the merchandise.
Buy some hats.
And you can actually take more of a self-guided tour during those times.
Yeah.
And we'll get a lot of people. It's grown significantly. There'll be 150 to 200 people there on a Tuesday morning coming in to learn how beer is made.
Really? And you actually showed them the whole process, how it's made, how you take these hops, is that what
Hops,
these are,
yeah, we
and
got
the other
Malt,
things?
water, hops, and yeast. 4
Right.
ingredients.
And that's it, yeah.
No matter where you go in the world, all the different beers
What
you
gives
can
it
try.
a different flavor?
Well, all of them. There's only 4 ingredients. Every
Okay,
one of them
so you just change
has
it. It's like 4 notes. You can make a lot of songs.
You can. That's a great way to put that. Can I use that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So let's talk about some of the songs you've created, some of the brands. Next slide, David, shows the brands that Cape Cod Beer has. Of course, you started with the Cape Cod Red. That was your
The Cape Cod
signature.
Red, it was definitely the first beer we put out there. We did have the IPA at the same time that we put out the Red. But the IPA stands for India Pale Ale.
I was just going to ask you, what is that? Okay.
The IPA is India Pale Ale.
All right.
Back in the 1700s, when the English had colonized India, they were shipping their regular pale ale over to India, and it wasn't surviving the long trip by boat.
Right.
Now, they knew from brewing history that both hops and alcohol act as natural preservatives.
Yeah.
So they took their regular pale ale and they boosted the alcohol and they added more hops.
Okay.
And so now the beer survived the long trip,
The trip
from
and
England to India.
on the sailing ship.
Yeah, the English colonists are doing the happy dance on the shores of India. And so now they had an India Pale Ale, a
Okay.
stronger, hoppier beer made to survive a long trip.
Okay.
We had both of those beers originally, but being that beer is a little more aggressive,
Yeah.
when I first started going out and selling and marketing these beers, you could only have the more aggressive beer if you had the red as well.
Right.
As an example, if you were to walk into a bar or restaurant,
Yep.
and you tried the IPA and you were like, wow, that's a little more flavorful than I want. And they
your
didn't
taste.
have another one of our beers, then you would switch to one of my competitors.
Brilliant. Keep them.
If the red was there, then they at
let me
least
try
had
the
a
red.
fallback
That's a little
choice.
lighter. More to my palate or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
And also that way, if they did try the IPA and that was the only beer that they had and they didn't like it and they walked into another bar or restaurant and only remembered Cape Cod Beer, even though it might have been the red,
Right.
they would have said, no, I had that. I'm all
I
set."
tried the red.
Yeah.
No, you
So
didn't.
originally when I was beginning to develop the brand and get some recognition for our brand, which is incredibly important in this industry,
Absolutely.
maybe in most industries, of
All
course.
industries.
It was important that we came up with a beer that certainly hit the middle of the curve first.
I love that.
And to this day, the red accounts for about 50 to 55% of our
It's
total
still
volume.
your anchor.
It
Do
really
you
is.
have to resist pressure to have too many brands? I mean, you could have too many, just proliferate and have far too many to control.
Absolutely.
You
And
cannibalize yourself, as we
do.
were talking about before, and you don't want to do that.
We don't. If you look at some of the brands that we have, whether it's the Porter or the Harvest or even the Summer and the Dunkelweizen, those are all, in some respects, in the same range as the IPA and the Red.
Yeah.
And so recently we introduced the Beach Blonde Ale, which allows us to address almost a completely new segment of the market. So we can continue to grow our business and grow our sales without having to go beyond those geographic boundaries that we've already defined.
Because
Would you pilot test, if you do a brew, do you put it into one of your distributors and pilot test it out and see how it goes? Or
well, we
starts at the Marcus household, right?
Well, we practice 500 gallons at a time, so we try to get it right every time.
Yeah.
And we did do a test market of the blonde last spring before we had to go full on with the red, the IPA in the summer.
How did you do that?
We produced a batch of the blonde. We came up with the recipe. I typically develop all the recipes, and we figured out from our own brewing history, knowing what each of the ingredients will contribute to the finished product, what people might be looking for in a lighter style beer. Now, these aren't as light as what you can get from the large commercial breweries because they use ingredients that we don't use. They use corn, they use rice.
Right.
Our beers are still all malt beers.
Right.
But so ours could never actually be as light as theirs.
Right.
But it is a lighter style, and we did play with the comments that we get from people. And we tested it, and the way we did that is we start certainly by selling it at the retail level right out of the brewery in the growler, which is the half-gallon refillable glass jug. And we had a great response there, and we actually have many very supportive local bars and restaurants who allow us to come in and we'll put on some of the new styles we put on. But we don't do so many that we're not like a brew pub per se, where you walk in and there's 12 or 13 different styles of beer and they're constantly changing. There's so much more that goes along with just a brand of beer, whether it's the marketing materials.
That's right.
So you have to be very careful in what beers you introduce, because every one of them, there's a lot of sort of behind the scenes stuff with regard to the signage and the point of sale
There's a lot of it
materials.
has to do with the marketing and the promotion and all of the things that will go along to introduce this thing.
And you don't want to spread yourself so thin with limited equipment that you can't keep up with the demand for all the beers.
And like you said, the first year you had to stop the production of the pale because it was summer, and you had to make the red and the IPA because the demand was there, and you got to meet what the people are demanding.
We knew for sure we weren't going to keep up. As a matter of fact, last year there was a time when we got down to this much beer left in the tank, and which is why we've just done this huge expansion again, and we've just added 64% more production capacity to the brewery.
Goodness. Wow.
So hopefully we won't have that
Gearing
problem
up for
this
the
year.
summer.
We are.
Excellent, excellent. You are active members of both the Hyannis and Cape Cod Chambers of Commerce. I see you there all the time.
We're very supportive, and as they are with us.
Poured beer at over 30 charity events. That's a good way to get your name out there too.
It is.
And be a good local a good citizen. This company is a good citizen, by the way. Go ahead.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
We know that we live in an area which is very densely populated with lots of not-for-profit organizations.
That's right.
And they're working hard to try and make Cape Cod a much better place. And we try to focus on those charities that definitely do support Cape Cod, whether it's it could even be local libraries, or the United Way is a good organization that we tend to work with, because then the funds can be distributed.
Absolutely.
And it makes us feel good to go out there and do things, particularly for the Cape Cod community, because we are trying to build our business in this community. We think it's incredibly important that we try to give back as much.
Good for you.
When I was building this business, I couldn't afford to put a broad spectrum of sales force out there.
No.
I mean, employee costs are huge.
They are.
And so what was very important to us was to build a good group of what we referred to as raving fans.
Right.
And bring people into our story and our fold, and get them interested in what we do, and let them know that we're very responsible members of our community.
Responsible citizens, corporate citizens, and also committed to the environment. You recycle.
We are. We do a lot of recycling.
It's a green, sustainable world, and you're right in there with them, right?
We are, and we've done a lot in recycling. We focus a lot on recycling at Cape Cod Beer. We won the Green Beanie Award from Mass Recycles back in 2009. We use our own trucks and our own drivers to go out and do our own recycling of all of our own goods. We put out very little trash from the brewery, but we do it. We don't. We bring it all to our own local recycling center, because here in the town of Barnstable, the recycling center is actually an enterprise operation.
Right.
So it only generates funds from itself.
Right.
And so if we're putting all of our cardboard or our plastics or our metals for recycling out into a dumpster out behind the brewery that are getting taken off the Cape somewhere, that really doesn't benefit our own local.
That doesn't benefit Cape Cod, right.
So what we
Good
do.
corporate, the local citizen.
That's right.
Corporate citizen.
So it takes a little more effort, but
Yep.
and there's many other things in our process that we do to really try and conserve as much as we can. We've used and recycled lights from local businesses, and if you come by the brewery, you'll see that there's these beautiful big glass windows. Those were once sliding doors that came out of a restaurant in Wellfleet. So
Really?
oh yeah,
recycle those too, right?
as much as possible.
Absolutely.
It's very important.
Committed to local businesses, we talked about. You buy local, you sell local.
We encourage it as much
Right.
as possible.
Yep. Right.
It's we go to all the farmers markets when we can.
Right.
When we go out, we always look for. We always say if you're going to go out to dine on Cape Cod, go to one of the local restaurants,
Yeah.
especially during the winter time.
Yeah.
Because
they could use the business.
They can use the business.
Right, and they're open. They're trying to serve us in the winter as
many
well
of
as
them
not
are.
just grab the summer revenue. Right.
Yeah, and they have mortgages to pay. They have kids they have to feed too.
Absolutely.
They don't just need. The kids don't just eat in the summertime.
No, they usually eat all year. Darn those kids.
Those kids though,
about that.
those kids need to drink more beer.
There you go.
No, we don't want kids to drink more
I
beer.
know that. Let's talk just a little bit about the challenges that you're facing in the future in your industry or just in small business in general.
There are certainly challenges that we have. Obviously, there are challenges that come with any small business with regard to facilities expenses, the rising cost of utilities.
Right.
We have had to deal with theft in our industry. All of our kegs are made out of stainless steel.
Yeah.
And as the scrap cost of stainless steel was rising, we had more kegs that were being stolen.
Yeah, we were talking about
And
that.
so-
The restaurant sticks out in the alley and then somebody sees it and steals it or
So we
takes
work,
it.
we work hard with restaurants now to make sure that they're being locked up,
Right.
and we keep really.
They
good
are an
track.
asset of Cape Cod Beer.
They are. They're
Right.
a huge mobile asset.
Yeah.
They cost us, between $125 and $165 a piece.
Well, you want to get them back.
We do.
I
And
don't
we
blame
do
you.
keep
Instead
good
of
track.
having them cut up.
As certainly as you have
The alcohol
more
taxes.
more employees.
Oh, yeah.
Employee
employees.
costs,
Yeah.
healthcare costs, yeah.
Right, healthcare costs
That's
rising,
enough said
going through
about
the
that,
roof.
right?
How about raw materials?
Raw materials costs over the last couple of years, there have been a
How
few.
about these things here?
Those are hops. They went up about 400% in the last couple of years due to a perfect storm of pest, weather, and fire-related issues.
Right.
And then malt due to the production of biofuels and ethanol, good quality malting barley has become a little more scarce. And then obviously we have our competition that we're facing.
You got to compete with them every day.
We do.
Well, you're doing a good job competing and beating them up because you supply a good product that tastes great, and you're a good corporate citizen. And
I'll drink to that.
Cape Cod Beer. Everybody get out there and buy a Cape Cod Beer and drink to that, Todd.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, my pleasure.
I've
Thanks,
wanted to
Cliff.
have you on
Thank
for
you,
a long
Todd.
time,
Thanks, Bill.
and I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And thank you guys for watching this show. Hope you enjoyed listening to Todd and his story. And we want you to know that you can send us comments on our email account, which is foxrobbins@gmail.com. There's also a video library with all past shows that is called myaccesstv.com. myaccesstv.com for past shows. And I want to thank our director, David Major, and we'll see you guys next time.